Meantime, here to discuss the reopening of the economy and the state of streaming, the travel industry, and what all of this means is Barry Diller. He's the chairman and senior executive of IAC and Expedia, and we're thrilled to have you join us, Barry, this morning. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Understand.
I hope you're all well.
I hope you're well. Last time we saw you was in person in the fall when we had just redone our set. So much has changed since then. You and I have emailed a little bit, but I'm curious sort of just how you see the landscape right now.
Well, I see the landscape as cataclysmic. I mean, I think the landscape is we're in something that it's very hard to be objective about because we're in the eye of it. We're inside of it, so we can't really see it for what it is. But look, everybody says the same thing. There's nothing like it before. And while we know some things, we really know nothing. We know nothing about what's going to happen, when we're going to get out of it, what we'll be doing. Will habits change? Will this be some really profound difference in people's lives in the future? But so I see it as everybody's scared. The fact that we have so much media, so much information, all of it telling us that we've got to be quite scared about cohabitating with anyone. So that ain't good.
But Barry, let me ask you this though. You bought Expedia right after 9/11, and you went through with that transaction even after 9/11 because you believed that on the other side of it, we were going to go back to normal.
I absolutely
do you feel the same way about where we are right now?
No. What I said then was if there's life, there's travel. I still do believe that. But this is not going to be what happened then, which was a very, very quick return to normalcy. That is not going to happen. At best, we'll have kind of a rolling way out. As far as travel is concerned, while I'm absolutely optimistic that at some point, but I don't think it's soon, I don't think it's until probably September, October, November, December, that you really get life back. And in order to travel, you got to have that. So they're totally different conditions. This is not analogous. I don't think this is analogous to anything. It's certainly not analogous to 9/11 and to the financial crisis in 2008.
And so, given your ownership of Expedia and your work at that company, what are you telling the employees there? How are you planning for that? What do you expect that business to look like over the next 18 months?
Well, what we're doing at Expedia is somebody grammatically said, no good crisis goes wasted. We're using the time to do a lot of the things that we were not able to do when we were running 100 miles an hour to keep up with our growth. So we're really spending truly the quality time that we spend other than dealing with the difficulties that particularly people in travel have. People in, it's not simply travel. It's in a sense, you can think of it as a small business writ large. One day the door closes and, if you've got a small business, you got nobody coming in and you have no revenue. Well, travel-related companies have no revenue. Expedia, like many large travel companies, has a very, very large cost base. So we haven't yet dealt with that specifically, but what we're doing is the real planning inside the company is to come out of this stronger than when we went into it. And that's all of the planning that basically we're doing.
What do you make of the bailouts of the airlines?
Necessary. Full stop. Look, you've got to bail everyone out. This is like, when you say, well, you're picking winners, losers, this or that, or you're saying this or that. Everybody is in the same position, which is the world stopped for commerce worldwide. And so anybody who's in commerce, and you see this, you drive down streets and you see big cities, small cities, and you see nothing is open, and they're ghost towns. The damage that is being done every day is enormous. Everybody needs to be bailed out of this one-time thing, and we'll worry about paying the bills later.
And when you think about travel, for example, and the future of business, one of the things that's going to be so critical, and we're hearing from other CEOs, is this idea of testing. Maybe you'll get tested on the way into an airplane in the future, just so everybody knows that everybody on the plane is okay. The other question I was going to ask, given this is the travel business is your business, who should pay for all of that in the future?
Pay for what? Testing and things like that? It'll be absorbed in the cost. It'll be absorbed, I think, in the cost of business. But what has to happen is the fear has to decline. The fear of associating with other people. Plenty of friends of mine who say, well, I'm not going to go to the theater, or I'm not going to do this because I'm afraid. Or actually, right now, people are saying, even though you've been isolating for 3 weeks, you can't come over to my house, which is kind of nuts to me. But the fear is the next thing that's going to have to thaw. Until that happens, whether you test people on the way in or whatever you do, at some point, everybody's going to have to be comfortable being a foot away from other people. And if that fundamentally changes, then a huge amount of our infrastructure disappears, which I don't think will happen.
Hey, Barry, I just had a question about what you were saying about how people say, okay, even though you've been isolated for 3 weeks, you can't come over to my house. And I think that goes into the idea that not everybody treats isolation or treats social distancing the same. I know people who are staying at home, but they go out to the stores, maybe they go out to restaurants, maybe, they have certain things that they would do that maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable with. I think that's the biggest problem is we all realize you're only as safe as your weakest link, and you can't tell or know exactly what somebody else's standards are or how safe they're actually
Yes, but
being.
you kind of have to get over it. I mean, you go into a theater and you're sitting literally within inches of people. You go in thinking that no one is going to come in with enormous toxicity, whatever that is. No one is going to come in who is got some terrible communicable disease and sneeze on you. You kind of just trust in that. Well, you're going to have to we're all too frightened right now. We're going to have to get over it, or everything will change.
Hey, Barry, wanted to pivot the conversation and talk a little bit about media and also the state of advertising, given the IAC business. How do you see that playing itself out over the next 12 months?
It's the tale of two cities for me. On one hand, I have IAC, which is in advertising and in home services and in dating. And all of that, of course, it's hurt some, but it's stable. And IAC's very well capitalized. And so I got all these hungry players in my company who want to go out and buy things and are very aggressive and think of this as an opportunity. While on the other hand, I have Expedia, which has no revenue. So, it's a bit of a weird kind of constant imbalance. But as far as advertising is concerned, well, why would you? At Expedia, for instance, we spend $5 billion a year in advertising. We won't spend $1 billion in advertising probably this year. You just writ that across everything. There you are.
And so that's the travel industry. The question is, how hard do you think it's going to hit other media businesses?
Well, of course it's going to hit. Travel
even some of the
travel industry is a proxy. I mean, yes, there are some things that you worthwhile advertising during this period. Basics, things like that, which probably don't need much advertising. But look, we haven't seen economically. I mean, why anybody is poring over these first quarter numbers, clueless to me. The market can go up in this atmosphere, insane. But get into the second quarter, you're going to see advertising across the boards. Why would it sustain?
Barry, you just said something very interesting, which was that you didn't understand why the market could go up in this environment. What do you think the fair value for the market would be in this environment?
How the hell would I know? It's, no one knows these things. But when we see the damage that is being done everywhere, which we'll really see in the second quarter, in the first quarter, how can you get fair value? How can you get fair value for a company? And, again, I absolutely believe a year or two from now, this will be over. One way or the other, this is going to be over, or we're over. So, but how can you value that today? I don't think you can do it. I certainly can't.
In the media space that you've lived in for so long, Netflix just passed Disney in market cap yesterday, and we've had lots of conversations over the years about streaming and the future of big media. And I'm wondering how you see all of this shake itself out and what the pandemic does to that whole space.
Well, I think the streaming, it'll have an effect on it for sure. Again, you go a few more months, and while people say, well, one of the last things I'll cut is my subscription to entertainment, which I desperately need to just get through the day. But that is eventually going to take its toll. People truly will not have the discretionary income to afford it. But, it doesn't change the dynamics of anything. You've got the competitors. Streaming has taken over the world. Hollywood is irrelevant. The only companies that have a true path, absolute clear business model path forward have nothing to do with the history of the entertainment business. That's Amazon and Netflix. Everybody else, good luck to them. I mean, they may be able to build subscription services that may be profitable, but that world has changed forever. Nothing in this. I think this pandemic has nothing to do with basically with that, other than earnings are going to be much less for a while.
Right. You talked about opportunities during this pandemic, or at least that there were people within IAC thinking about that. Are there places that you imagine you might try to invest some money over the next 12 months?
Oh, my God, yes. Look, of course there's opportunity. You just have to have a very long view, very sure-footed. You have to look at things as not only they are, but as you think there will be. But we're looking at some very large potential acquisitions for IAC. And of course, this is the environment where if you are acquisitive, you're going to do the thing that for many years everybody's asked for. Oh, my God, everything's overinflated. Prices are crazy. Can't buy things for this or that without these huge premiums. But you know what? That's all gone. So if you've got capital, could be a better time than to exploit what is, terrible downfall for many companies.
Barry, we've often talked politics with you over the years, and I'm curious what you think is going to happen politically in this country as a result of this pandemic, and what its impact is going to be on business. Because you start to think about the enormous debt that we've taken on, the questions about taxes, corporate taxes, individual taxes, buybacks, dividends. How do you think that changes?
Well, again, I think as far as buybacks are concerned, it's also a great environment. If you've got plenty of capital and you don't have a huge cost base that you've got to service with no revenue, then for sure, buy back your stock. Politically, this is, again, of the many unknowns, I don't know. You know, we currently have an administration as infomercial. So I don't know whether in the end people say, please no more of that. I'll take any alternative or whatever. I can't, I can't predict. I can predict it because I actually think the infomercial administration end in November. But as far as long term, the damage that's being done can't be assessed right now. It's going to have a huge political impact. Whether that tilts you this way or that way, I can't really tell. But this is not short term, the effects.
Barry Diller, we appreciate you spending time with us this morning. It's always an education. We are hoping you stay healthy and you stay safe.
Thank you. Wish I could be less bleak.
And
I am very long term.
Talking to you very soon.
But thank you.